Welcome to Reckless Speculation, starring Robbie Davis, Brendan Chains, and Raj. I'm always late meta. Welcome. And Robbie, you know what? I just finished up a show with Coach Tyler Van of the Sylvania Rams. His team is reporting July the 15th. It's almost football season.
Oh, yeah, it will be here before you know it. And you know what that means. The fantasy draft is just a little over 60 days away, which we will see. Hopefully we can do some kind of special at the draft, but we've got to get our editing team.
We're going to need a whole lot of editors.
Yes.
I shot footage last year, and I couldn't use any of it.
Yeah, you're not going to be.
There's a lot. It's like what are people's appetites for a bunch of bleeps and then maybe a here and there.
Right.
Yeah,
no, I'm excited about it. That's going to be one of the greatest days of the year for sure. We always look forward to it, and I always love to see how Robbie's team falls to demise after the draft. So it's
well, what's funny is
a question that begs to be asked. Do you have a strategy coming into the draft, or do you drunkenly make it on the front porch as you start your draft?
Well, I always have a strategy. It's always, a little out there. I think what gets me every year is I think half of our league is dead throughout our group text all year round. I'm like, half of them have died. And then they all just show up and they catch me by surprise. And I'm more distracted about that than I am on the draft.
All right. Brandon, can you report that Alan's fine? I mean, you work with him, don't you? I mean,
he's good. He's not much of a texter,
tell him once a month just to log into the text conversation and go, hey, Robbie, you're an idiot, or Randall, you're an idiot, or whatever, and then just log back out.
Right. I think as of most of us do, he's got it on silent mode because the texts that come through the day when you're trying to work is it's quite a lot. So.
What's the most you've ever had when you opened it up and you went, holy?
Did you just say trying to work? You were playing golf all day.
No,
yeah, I wasn't going to call on that.
I didn't tee off till 5. That was after work hours. The most, I'm in like 4 different threads, just like our thread. So the most I've ever had has probably been 246.
Oh, wow.
I looked down and I was like, I don't even have time to read all these.
Because there is multiple threads to this thread text. I have the main one, then I have one for the show. And then I have one that kind of jumps in and out with me and Robbie. And then I've got a couple that's other, like the Chattanooga people.
Yeah, I've got some Franklin County buddies, and then the Grove Golf Group here. And
sadly, I read every single one of those texts.
You do. You do.
What that says about me, I read every one, and I almost reply to every one of them.
I'll wait, and then I'll send 12 hours of replies in one string.
You do, and that's when the buzzing just starts. It's just like, and I have to silence the
that's the operative word. Sorry, is buzzed for me. When I first moved here and texting got big, being the California liberal, it used to be a bit, back and forth. Then Trump was president, and I had some buddies on a thread out here that just enjoyed messing with me, and everything was so contentious at the time. And during that election, I would just play along, and then finally I just got burned out. Because I, like you guys, have about 5 or 6 of those threads. One of them is Chattanooga buddies, and they know I hate it, I swear. So they just mess like constantly with like 3 or 4 of us. I mean, literally, there's like, I have over 1,000 unread texts. It's pretty insane. And that's probably just this month. But yeah.
I can tell you, I know every time Raj drinks heavily, I can tell when Brandon gets off work. I can tell when Robbie's in a mediation or at a trial. And you all know every single time I have a bowel movement in the nation, because it'll be like 20 minutes of non-texting, and then I'm gone for 10 hours. Hey,
Sad but
Robbie.
true.
Robbie, will we see the Robbie Davis zero running back strategy? Are we going to see the same one, or are we going to see it slightly altered?
So I do think it was a good strategy. It didn't quite work, but
It didn't work worth a damn.
You will see some variation of a similar strategy.
God.
Has anyone bought a fantasy football magazine or did a mock draft yet?
No.
I don't need those stupid people telling me what they tell everyone else. I got my own strategy.
Actually, Rob, you should develop your own magazine, and then everybody would do the opposite and like totally win their leagues. That would be
Like fantasy
smart.
football draft cliff notes for dummies.
Yeah.
Like what was like the idiot's guide to like hiking or something like that? The idiot's guide to fantasy football drafting.
Well,
That would work.
our friend Clipper Clay right now is sitting at Bonnaroo. He is the only one that ever brought a computerized iPad app to the draft. and I think he finish like last or next to last that year?
I don't
He was
know,
in the
but
bottom three for sure.
he was getting dogged on relentlessly, and rightfully so.
Before we go into our actual show, can anybody make it? Go ahead, Robbie.
I was gonna say, all those magazines, all these lists, they don't account for the wild card that is live,
drunken,
darn near blackout drunk drafting and those decision makings where it's like, I'll take one person will take 5 quarterbacks or no running backs, or all of a sudden you walk up and you have to take mandatory wide receiver round. It doesn't take into account all these things.
You can't set a mock draft for the type of draft that we have because it's just completely obsolete. No,
I have said I've been in this league a decade and I do not drink. And I have said that my biggest handicap is the fact that I do not drink. I think sober drafting make it impossible.
I think you outthink yourself.
If you overthink, I mean, it can be. But then again, I usually have like guys I want or like going into it. And then after drinking, it becomes even more tunnel vision for me. Tunnel vision? You know what I mean? So there's two sides to that coin.
Yeah.
Well, and didn't you hear for the first 4 hours, every pick's the worst pick imaginable?
Yes.
It could be the number 1 pick, the number 1 rated player. What a horrible pick. What are you thinking?
Hey, I think I'm going to do a different strategy this year. I think I'm going to bring a cot and actually take a nap during picks. Because if you're like pick 1 or 2, you're not picking for another 4 hours.
Oh yeah, no, it is.
It also depends on where
I
we're
think
at the draft this year too. So we'll see. If we're trying to do the vote again, we're gonna have a time.
Commissioner, have we picked a spot yet, or is it still up to league debate?
I will let you guys know 30 days in advance.
All right.
You heard it here.
You have to let me know 31 days in advance per hour agreement.
What happened, Raj?
I'm in
How much
charge,
did he
but I have
pay
a
you for this?
supervisor. I have a supervisor that has veto power over my
What
veto power.
a debacle this is going to be.
This is the greatest thing to ever happen to this league.
Oh my God! No, we've seen this once. This show once. And
there won't be any everybody.
Although it worked out well for
type
me.
bullshit.
Will there be any drafting of a certain player a certain round?
No, none of that crap.
Okay, then I'm good. There's nothing Robbie can do that would bother me.
I hate that crap.
Everything he does bothers me.
I hope you're the next commissioner.
You sound like Allison. Just kidding.
All right, we had rearranging closet day at the Davis household. It was very stressful.
Yeah,
dude, that's the worst.
You might have started drinking at 12:30.
You can't throw that away. I love that hat from Minnesota I got in 1998. Don't you dare touch that hat. It's got a duck on it. That's our house, like every time.
I won the league in that shirt 14 years ago. Robbie,
Yeah,
do you
exactly.
remember what shirt you drafted in last time you won the league?
In 24, wait, no, it would have been 20 or 2004 or 5. No,
I think it was a Power Rangers shirt.
Isn't that that Chaps shirt, your sweet cross colors Chaps shirt? That was probably around back then.
Could have been Tommy Hilfiger.
Y'all didn't like my prediction that
Eddie Bauer.
Who was it I picked was going to win the league? Geoff or somebody. And Robbie was cursed and sold his soul to I still think I crack myself up sometimes. But we got to move on. We got a show to do. This is Reckless Speculation. And let's start with I'm going to hate this. I'm not sure I'm not going to mute it, not even think about it. Tennessee goes down in the Super Regionals after a great season. I am surprised. No, I'm not surprised. I'm shocked by how much negative reaction to the Tennessee baseball team that has came out since they lost. It was like the next morning, my timeline was full of they'll never win one while they act this way. They'll never do that. This team has been one game from the College World Series this year, in the College World Series last year. But it was a great year that turned out bad. Robbie, I think you said it best on the text. Great year, not great results at the end.
Yeah, I mean, this was the easy parallel is the Grant Williams, Admiral Schofield basketball year. Like, number one for majority of the year. This team was a little more cocky than that team. But, yeah, I mean, look, man, it's hard to win championships. It is. And especially in, best out of 3, one and dones. It's hard. And sometimes the better team doesn't win. And, what the number one seed hasn't won since, what do we say, 99? Like, there's a reason why this tournament's so hard to win. Not getting to Omaha is a disappointment. But, look, this is a program that's building, that's on the rise, 2-time coach of the year. They're redoing the stadium. It's going to be extremely nice, and all things are bright. But, yeah, but on the downside of that, when you're there and in that spot, it's nice to get one. So you don't know how many times it's going to be there again. But great season, bad results. Still trying to win the last game.
Are you guys serious that you don't understand why people are excited they lost and why people don't like Tennessee baseball?
No, I'm not.
They were arrogant. They were.
I mean, they were. So I think actually.
Hold on. Let me clean it up for you so you can say it. I'm not surprised people were glad they lost. But Tennessee swagger is no greater than many other teams that I've watched. That my blowback was like on the level of death threats against Drew Gilbert and how glad they were. And Tony Vitelli don't need to be in college coaching. And it's like a year's worth of hate and venom build up. Did Tennessee do some stuff? Yeah, but is it any worse than other things, or am I just wearing a Homer eyes?
You're wearing Homer eyes. Now, you said earlier in the year that they're good for baseball, that this is different this year. I disagreed with you to an extent. I still don't think nationally it was a big deal, but I loved them. They were good for baseball. They were the team you love to hate. They were good. Now, the whole swagger thing, I mean, personally, I think you have to get to that level first before you can act like you've won 10 rings. There was just, there was sort of a me against the world attitude, and the fans took on the same thing. The one Beck kid, he was a piece of work. Flipping the bird off. I don't know if you guys saw that slide. I'm sure you did, against Georgia Tech, or No, against Notre Dame in the one game they won, where he just waltzes around the catcher and goes back, lays on his stomach, and touches home plate with one finger. Coaches getting ejected, bumping. And again, I thought it was good for the game. It's just they were arrogant and overconfident. They were cocky. And there's a difference between being confident and cocky. But again, they had number one offense in baseball, in college baseball, the number one pitching staff, 55-7. They were the best team in the country. But yeah, Schadenfreude at other schools, especially in the South, they're going to love it when a rival loses. And yeah, there's been a lot of excitement among these other states.
I wasn't prepared for the level of hate. I was prepared for the excitement, but the level of hate actually swung me a little bit. But now, Shane, have you seen the Savannah Bananas and some of the stuff they do? I mean, I know it's minor league baseball, but did it rub you the wrong way?
No, not at all. I mean, to Roger's point, he just laid out the stats. They were the number one pitching and number one college offense in baseball. So yeah, that comes with a little bit of target on your back. You got to be a little bit overconfident, I think, at some point. And they were, but let's be honest. It's not, when you get in these tournaments, if you're a baseball fan of any kind, it's not the best team that always wins. It's the hot team. And
that's true.
That's what happened. They battled well, and it just, you catch a 3-game slide like that, some teams' bats get hot and yours don't. I mean, that's what happens. You go home, and that's what makes, these tournaments in baseball so hard to win. And still, I mean, full credit to that staff, coaching staff, players. I mean, statistically and, visually, they were the best team in college baseball.
We talked about it. They got pushed towards the end of the year more than they had all year. And you have to wonder if the team wasn't used to that. Notre Dame, we talked about in the regionals, they used 3 pitchers. They were ready to go, and they were hot. So It was kind of a buzzsaw in many respects. But yeah, I mean, Tennessee had to use almost everybody. And even though they were the best team, as Shane and you guys have all said, it's hard to keep that up all year. You're going to run into someone hotter.
Well, and you're getting a target on your back, and you've got everyone's best shot. Everyone's best shot every time you play. So it's hard to get these kids geared up for that consecutively that many times. So
I agree.
Yeah, the Notre Dame coach said great at the end of the series. He's like, they were the best team in baseball all year. We just knew we had to win 2 games, and it was that hey, we're only using 3 pitchers. We're going for it. Who knows what happens next, but we've got nothing to lose right now.
Yeah, got to get through this, like everything you got.
Should that be a best out of 7? The way they changed the NBA when the 8-seed Nuggets beat the Sonics, you play all year. Should that be a best out of 7 at home versus that?
It's a lot to ask of the kids, though, in this season, I think. But I think it should when you get that competitive. But
if the number one, well, like Rob said, the number 1 seed rarely wins. I mean, I think you should reward a team, especially one that went 55-7. You got to make it very tough to beat them, not necessarily easier to beat them.
I agree.
That's a great point, Raj. When you posed that question, I was like, I'm not going to be prisoner of the moment. No, Tennessee, my team lost, shouldn't change the rules. But when you do say, hey, if a team hasn't won it in this century that's been the best team all year, then maybe there is something flawed with that.
But do we think the Braves last year winning the World Series was maybe the 4th or 5th best major league team at the time?
Not when they were hot and Rosario hitting 700.
But
I mean, healthy, they were not nearly the best team of there were a lot of few teams that were better. But when they're hot, they're playing like the best team.
They were definitely top 5. They caught fire, and I mean, you just couldn't put them out.
that leads into. By the way, congratulations as a UT grad. I'm very proud of our baseball team. Also, I'd like to tell everybody that's throwing shade at me. There's a post on RiverCity-Media that shows your winning percentages in the SEC across all sports. It's not even close how much Tennessee is just wiping everybody out. Tennessee's the only program that's in the 600 winning percentages for all sports right now. So we get been around football too much in this conference. As a guy who loves all sports, we put too much emphasis on whether your program is good or not through one sport. And I just don't like that sometimes.
They're going to get theirs. Who doesn't want to play for Vitello? Kids see this. They got swag. They're going to get theirs. It's just a question of when and how many.
Yep. Let's talk about the Braves real fast. They lose Albies last night. Broken foot, hit 60-day DL. We have Rosario on the DL, who was last year's World Series MVP. You still have Soroka, has not pitched yet this year. You have Acuna finally back. I will say, as a Braves fan, they're being very conservative with Acuna's playing time. They've kind of let him go the last 2 or 3 weeks. But Raj, at the same time, this team was over double digits down 2 weeks ago, and now they're 5 down to the Mets. They've won 12 in a row, and they look like they're catching fire. And a lot of it has to do with a couple of pitchers that I don't know at the beginning of the season we didn't know was going to be as good as they are.
Yeah, I mean, first, you can only play the teams that are in front of you. I think they've won 13 in a row. They have played 3 last place teams, a third place team, and a fourth place team. Not one of them was over 500. They were Arizona, Colorado, Oakland, Pitt, and Washington. Again, you can only play those teams in front of you. The difference, though, is the Braves in this month, it's baseball. Like we just said, you can get hot. The whole lineup started hitting. All 12 position players that have played for the Braves in June have hit a home run after Arcia's home run the other night. They went from one of the highest strikeout, actually the highest strikeout rate in baseball on offense to one of the lowest ones. They led the baseball in swing rate and outside the zone swing rate. They just flipped it, and they aren't relying on guys from last year, but it is June, and nobody wins rings in June. So I think everyone knows this team is going to be right there. But, do you want to win 13 now or in October?
Good point. Robbie, have you been able to catch much of the Braves activity, and is it clean for you now? I made a couple of adjustments to see if I can get the sound cleaner for you.
There's a little hiccup, but I'll be okay. Yeah, no. Well, I was at the game Sunday before Albies got hurt, and so yeah. I mean, this is a team that obviously you don't want one of your best players to get hurt, but this is what happened last year. This team is, they're used to this, or at least they have done it before. So it's not going to be, a locker room that collapses. The whole division's pretty hot though. 6-4, 10-0, 8-2, 6-4. And then I don't know what the hell's happened to the Nationals, but yeah, I think the Braves are doing a good. What's that?
I said the Nationals are wasting the best player in baseball. That's what they're doing.
Yeah. And so, the Braves are right there. And like Ross said, it's the middle of June, like nothing, you don't want to overreact, but they're in good shape to defend their title. And I mean, they've got some bats. This was probably the first baseball game I've seen, I'm guessing 3 years, COVID and all that. But every run the Braves scored was a home run. And to me, I don't like the home run strikeout philosophy. I'd prefer base run or stolen bases, moving the ball. But I guess it's exciting for the fans, but it was good. Truist Park was fun, but it was a good time. But overall, yeah, I mean, the Braves are in good position. This is what you want. They're in the wild card right now, and they'll probably catch the Mets, end of July.
Hey, Brendan, as a casual baseball fan, I think the one thing that's captured baseball over the last couple of years is everybody looks forward. And I think we'll get it again this year to that Dodgers-Braves playoff series. It has really become one of the better rivalries in sports.
Yeah, no, we definitely tune in here for that. That's a good series for sure. It, the Braves they're catching fire, but I think they're riding the wave right now. And like to Robbie's point, they're going to face injuries. They're going to have this, and they've faced adversity before. Now their front office is super smart, and they made some great trades last year to pick up for that, for those losses and injuries. I'll look for them to do that again this year, if need
I think
be.
so.
And I think they're in prime position. I don't think you need to over or underreact on them right now.
Well said.
Rob, I want to ask you a couple of questions about a couple of players, and as our in-house baseball expert. And Robbie, I'm going to hit you again with a couple of things. But the beginning of the year, everything was about the Freeman for Olsen, and Freeman's played okay in L.A. He's not on fire. Olsen hitting about 250, but his power numbers have been really good of late. Is this move still not? It just don't feel like we've got the full vision of it through a quarter of the season.
No, and 3 weeks ago, Freeman was hitting over 300 and Olsen was hitting near like 220. I don't know why, but inevitably they're going to be compared with each other
Forever.
Well, I do know why. Probably forever, just because of how iconic Freeman was in Atlanta. Another thing, Freeman's defense has not been nearly as good as it was in Atlanta. Now, he's playing with new people. You got to give him a break, different field. But that's been a bummer. He is, however, a god in LA. He's a mobilizing force. They love him in the locker room. So, yeah, I mean, who would you rather have? I would take Freddie Freeman all day. But another thing about the Braves, everybody started hitting. Their bullpen they're not even using the guys that got them to the World Series. They are so deep with that roster and that GM Anthopoulos. And just calling up Michael Harris second, who's younger than Wander Franco by 6 days. He looks sensational. Obviously a huge defensive plus over Duvall out there, and it moves Duvall over to left because Ozuna has a noodle arm. And, that's another guy who's back. Ozuna's back, and I'm not a fan of his. Say what you will about him. It doesn't matter. But, they kind of like whatever they lost last year, they've sort of re-injected. They've reloaded from within. So to answer your question originally, oh, by the way, please take Kimbrel back. I hate that guy. Yeah, they're going to be tied together, but the same token in the playoffs, if Olsen starts hitting dongs, like Atlanta is going to go nuts over him. And by the way, we are in Atlanta starting the 24th, 9 days. I'll be at all three. They even moved the Sunday game to Sunday Night Baseball, which is nice. It won't be 138 degrees, just 100.
Nice.
The thing about Olsen, he's hitting 240, struggled with strikeouts, but he has 24 doubles. He's on a pace to hit 70 doubles. I think you're seeing what, and Freddie will be hitting 320 before the end of the year. But Robbie and Raj and everybody, in 2017, the Braves drafted Kyle Wright with the 5th overall pick. Kyle Wright was as valued as any pitcher coming out from the SEC that year, front end of a Vandy team that made the College World Series. he was 2-9 with a +5 ERA coming into the year. He sets today 12 starts, 7-3, 2.5 ERA, a strikeout per inning pitched. What can cause an athlete at 26 years old that has had a struggle as a professional athlete to not just catch on fire, but be elite again, Robbie? Is it just that maybe he picked up a new pitch, but I think it's mental. I think it's feeling like he belongs.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think there's a lot of things. There's a lot, like, of all the sports, I think baseball's the easiest to hide, right? So while you can get more confidence and you can, whether it's down in the minor leagues or perfect your craft, like, and also it's a lesson in patience, man. If you believe in someone to make them a high draft pick, give them time and give them resources to develop and do their thing, because whatever talent you saw in them, it may come out, but just don't give up on them so quickly. We see this, I mean, to parallel the NBA where it's bust after bust after bust. Well, maybe if there was some kind of legit minor league system or something, let them play and let them kind of gain traction, you wouldn't see this anymore. And then to just briefly touch on the Freeman versus Olsen, debate. I think this is ultimately going to boil down to a late season kind of how things shake out, because it's going to be that locker room when things get stressful. Right now, it's just, hey, we're playing baseball, see what happens. When it gets stressful, and let's see how the locker rooms go, and ultimately probably the playoff matchup, and that's going to be really interesting.
That is. I think you're on the mark. I don't think we'll shake out until August, September. Hey, Brandon, I want to compare Kyle Wright, and Rod, I'll let you finish this up, and we'll get on the NBA Finals. I want to compare Kyle Wright's career path to Ryan Tannehill a little bit. Both high picks in their sport, both much valued coming into the leagues. Tannehill in Miami, I think, was bad coaching in a way. Wright didn't change, but it seems like both guys, 4 or 5 years into their career, something clicked. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is mental at that point. I mean, the talent's there. Obviously, you're drafted for a reason. I think it's situational with obviously football. You got to be in the right offense that suits your strengths, and then baseball, kind of the same thing. The right locker room, the right guys around you, and just being confident in yourself. It's a big mental game. I compare it a lot to golf. Being kind of a solo guy on a team out there, it's a lot of mental back and forth, especially on a pitching mound.
Absolutely.
So it's a tough mental battle, and coming in young and cocky sometimes doesn't bode well. But no, he's starting to catch fire and believe in himself, and that's what you want to see out of your prospects.
All right, Swami. I know you're going to have some kind of number to throw at us. I was going to throw before we got to you. He did add a curveball to his repertoire. But what does the Swami say? Is Kyle Wright real? Will we still be talking about him in September?
I think so. I mean, I always think of a guy who I was fortunate enough to meet at a charity event, Dick Mountain, what we call him, Rich Hill. He's 41 now, and he was on the Long Island Ducks going through like 38 teams. Sometimes you pick up a pitch, sometimes you simplify things. And when you do pick up a pitch, you're probably throwing less of something that you would get tagged before. He's figured it out. And the Braves coaching staff and pitching coach Kranitz, they're obviously amazing. With Rich Hill, he changed, a lot more tunneling, where basically is when two pitches, if you overlay them, they start out looking the same, and then the bottom falls out of one. But really, the number one thing was spin rate. When you can change those things and you can control better timing and spin rate, and some of that stuff you get as you age. I mean, look at Greg Maddux.
Yeah.
He was phenomenal. And again, he's one of the best pitchers in the history of the game. So I'm not comparing the two, but, with age, you kind of figure things out, it seems. Maybe his body sort of settles into something, but those pitches, he's been looking good. And he used to get tagged and he used to throw his fastball a lot. And it didn't have any – you can be the fastest pitcher ever, but if ball doesn't move, then major league hitters are going to tattoo it. So I'm happy for him. And I think it's coaching, and I think this is the beauty of baseball. Just like Dick Mountain, man, he became an all-star pitcher after like 36. So anything's possible.
I was just looking at the baseball records today, and man, it's looking like Major League Baseball is getting more and more like college football than, say, the NFL. And what I mean by that is there's only a handful of teams that can win it at the beginning of the year, and there's a lot of teams that just have no chance.
Were the Braves one of those teams last year? At the same token, I think Atlanta is going to – usually the buyers like the Dodgers, big market teams, clean up at the deadline. But, Atlanta kind of showed – I mean, they were a talented team. Don't get me wrong. Whenever you have Albies, Freeman, and Acuna, you're in anything. But, they showed 3 or 4 or 5 underrated. They barely gave up anything acquisitions, and they became the best team in baseball.
Brand for forever.
Well, Tampa's been, Tampa's a tiny market team. They've been right there multiple years. The Dodgers beat them for their World Series. But I understand your point. Minnesota, the Twins, they had to go out and shell money for Correa.
Yeah, exactly parallel. I'm just saying it just feels like that
way. It's the usual suspects. There's no doubt about it.
The thing that I think is unique about baseball, and then we'll move on to NBA, is you're right. I think there's only a handful of teams that can win the World Series. But I think unlike college football, they do it vastly different. Tampa does it with great drafting, great player personnel. Atlanta's probably a mid-market, 10 to 15 payroll, but they have a really good GM that puts pieces together. And then you have the Yankees and the Dodgers and the Giants, even to some level, that they are able to go out and get just elite level talent that everybody else can't afford. So
there's also
there in baseball.
Quickly, there's also less incentive in baseball. Everybody's making money. Look at the Pirates. They have one of the lowest payrolls. They made a ton of money last year. They have they got a stadium at the right time. It's just general baseball, revenue sharing, and they make bank. So why change it up and spend money on different dudes? I mean, the fans don't seem to care that much, but that's an outlier. But still, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I guess what shocked me today is looking up for this topic, and I was like, oh, I looked on SportsCenter, and I'm like, oh, the Reds must be the worst team in baseball by a lot. And I'm like, no, they're not. I'm like, God, how many bad teams are there in baseball? Like, there's a lot.
There's
the fact that the A's, Royals, the Cubs,
is the one I was going to say. The Cubs have all the resources in the world, and they chose to break up that team to rebuild it. They chose for this path.
And it's a long rebuild. It's going to take a while.
Yep. All right, guys, great topic. We don't touch on baseball a lot, but that was a great topic. Let's move on to the NBA Finals. And let me tell you, everybody knows that watches this, not the biggest NBA fan. I have, after saying I would not be involved in the finals, I have watched every single minute of the finals. After game 3, and I think I even said it on the group text, it's over. The Celtics are going to be world champions. Boy, did the Warriors kind of prove me wrong. Shane, the Warriors are really in control of their destiny now.
They are. Well, when you get Steph Curry having a career game, 42 points, 7 threes, 10 rebounds, I know he's going to get his, but man, what he just went off game 3. So um, it's a tough battle. I mean, they're both good defensive teams, and when the Celtics can't hit threes and keep up with the Warriors, that's when they lose. And their turnovers. When they turn the ball over, like last game, they had 9 turnovers in the first half or first quarter or something stupid like that. It was crazy. It was like this game's over. Like there's no chance they're going to win the game. But the key to the Celtics, I know everyone, Jason Tatum, he's going to get his, but is Marcus Smart. Great defender. When that guy is over 20 points, Celtics can win the game. When he's hitting threes, Celtics can win the game. And Al Horford. Grant Williams, Tennessee boy, steps in. He's just a big brute out there. Reminds me of Dennis Rodman. He's the only one that can kind of battle Draymond Green with their intensity and antagonistic style. They both get after each other. We've seen that. And man, it's been a fun series to watch. It really has, and I've enjoyed every minute of it.
On the money making, if you had took Grant Williams' point profile every single game, he's hit it. So, just for the record, Grant Williams' point and assist profiles have been hit every one. Robbie,
doing just
game 4 and 5, just domination by the Warriors. I mean, I don't know that there was a point in 4 and 5 where I really felt like the Celtics were in the game.
Yeah, so this series, probably more than any, has just been conflicting for me emotionally. Like, grew up a Lakers fan, Magic, then Kobe. So as you have to, you hate the Celtics. But then one of my favorite athletes ever, Grant Williams, now plays for the Celtics. But I can't get there. I can't root for the Celtics. As far as basketball wise, yeah, I mean, look, the Celtics went nuts from 3 in game 1, or this series is already over. I just don't think the Celtics have enough firepower to win 2 games. They got the home game they may squeak out, but game 7 in San Francisco, I don't think they have it. Golden State's lost some big games at home before, though, but I just think this is – and I'm not even sure Curry is the MVP right now, but I don't think he's going to let them lose at home on game 7. When the series started, I said Warriors in 6. Still like it, but I'm very confident Warriors winning the whole series.
All right, Swami, throw us a stat out there that's going to impress us all.
Well, Curry's averaging over 30, like 30.6 per game, which is insane. He went 0 for 9 from 3 last game, and they won. That's the crazy thing.
That is. To me, I had his it was 5, and I took the over or under on his threes. And
yeah, but you look at the Celtics turnovers in relation to that. They had like 15 or 18 turnovers.
Yeah.
But usually, for the argument that no, absolutely. They sometimes when Curry's missing their long rebounds, they're pushing the ball up, they're forcing it. They need to play their game. But back to Randall, he had made 25 threes through the first 4 games. I mean, that's over 6+ per game. When they won with him shooting 0 for 9, Chain, you're right. But I was just like, whoa, if they can do that without Steph, I mean, what does that say to Boston? It looked like I was with you. Their defense, the thing with Curry is the pick and roll. And true to form, he's so savvy, he's just mixed things up. And Boston barely runs any pick and rolls. But, even if Curry's not making shots, he's affecting the game. There's no doubt about that.
For sure.
So even though I loathe Golden State and loathe Boston, like Rob, I'm not a big 50-foot shot guy, but, Golden State last game proved that they're not always like that.
Raj, do you remember the first Kobe Pierce Celtics Lakers finals, whenever Doc just outcoached Jackson on the pick and roll, and it was just like, do something different on defense, and they wouldn't do it. And
Yeah,
the Celtics won, and that's what this feels like to me. Is Boston's like, we're playing our defense, but it's not working.
No, it actually did. They did shut down Curry the last game. They made a big change on Curry. They rushed him a lot. They didn't let him get off the pick and roll. So that was a big difference. The problem there was the turnovers, and they couldn't hit shots. But if you go back to game one, when Curry was hot from the three-point line, when Curry gets on fire like that, the Celtics have to be on fire. I mean, they made, 15 threes that game in one game. So the potential is there for them to do it. But when Curry's hitting that many threes, they've got to hit threes, and they've got to control the ball. They cannot turn it over. That's their biggest emphasis right now.
and their bench has been better. With Jordan Poole coming up through the ranks. Last game, Gary Payton is healthy again. He played amazingly. And usually you talk about Boston's bench, but Golden State, somebody's going to step up and beat you pretty much at every given night. So I was pulling for Boston. Please forgive me, Laker gods, but I'd be very, very surprised if Golden State did not win. I'm saying 7, but I think the line for tomorrow is Boston's 3.5 favorite, which is whoa.
Yeah, and maybe next week, after the finals is over, maybe we can talk about what does this say about Kevin Durant.
He's not there.
This big scheme of things in the whole NBA.
Team player, not him.
Good point. I want to get a quick survey around the table. Game 6, start with Robbie Davis. Or if it's your bet your nuts, you can decline till your bet your nuts. Game 6, Robbie.
I think Golden State closes it out. I don't think Boston has the energy to come Game 6 and Game 7. I think mentally they're done. Golden State wins.
Mr. NBA, Brandon Cheney.
I'll decline till bet your nuts.
Oh, nice. Raj Mehta.
I think Golden State's the better team. Rob and I both have an element of conspiracy theorem within us. And
you're both
the NBA. Oh, yeah, very true. The NBA loves nothing more than Game 7s of the finals at Boston, Golden State. That would go off. You'd like to think Boston will figure something out defensively. So I'm going to take the Celtics, but Golden State in 7.
And speaking of, good God, these games are so spread out. Can we please get a more condensed?
Just get it over with. Come on.
Yeah, that's my.
Well, now they're going to go up.
If it's 1
Game
a.m.
7, to go up against Sunday against the U.S. Open. I should. You know what?
You should be the commissioner.
Quitting my job and just being a sports calendar director for all the leagues.
Robbie, with my legal issues, I don't know if you'd be wise to leave your job at any point. But yes.
It is baffling, though. We always talk about scheduling, especially versus the NFL. These games are ending at 1 a.m. Now, growing up on the West Coast, being a Laker fan, I watched every finals game religiously. And even when it ended after 10 o'clock West Coast time, I'd be exhausted the next day. I mean, if you're a kid that loves basketball and all these kids love Curry, you're staying up till 1 a.m. in the middle of the week. Now, I know it's summer or whatnot, but still, that's insane, man. These games are taking 4 hours. It's not like they're scoring, 150 to 150. It's just been kind of ugly and really long.
I'll take the Celtics to get it to Game 7, but I don't. In my heart, I'm an Atlanta fan, but my dad didn't care about Tennessee, didn't care about the Braves, but he loved the Boston Celtics. I lost my dad a few years ago, and it's one of the good memories of my life is watching my dad, who cared nothing about sports, would watch the Boston Celtics. So, but I don't see how they they put it together for game 6 and 7. I think you're all right. I think the Warriors win it on the West Coast. By the way, the Braves are about to go to 13 in a row. Ricky Spencer Strider gets his third starts in the major leagues, go 5 1/3 with 11 strikeouts, get 16 outs. 11 of them is on strikeouts. So
tomato, but is it 13 or 14? Like
I think it's 14 with
I
this
think
one.
this would be 14.
Yeah.
You can't ask Randall to do math.
Yeah, I
Hey.
just got a math degree. You can't
I
ask
dogged on him
me to
earlier.
spell either.
Or pronounce words. Sorry.
So, and Ricky, Michael Harris, 2 for 4 tonight. God.
Hey,
You
the
know,
Lightning
Ozzy-
just scored 2 in the second to tie it up, 3-3.
wow. And the Dodgers are 1-5 against the Pittsburgh Pirates. So even though I was dogging on the Braves, you can only play the teams that are in front of you. They're winning, and they're winning. Everybody's heating up. So more power to them, man. All credit to the Atlanta Braves. In June.
At 10-10 tonight, my bet your nuts is going to involve your Los Angeles Dodgers.
So is mine.
All right, guys, let's move on over to a subject that let's put a smile on Brandon Chasen's face right now. Let's just everybody focus on Brandon and watch his face light up. Let's talk PGA golf.
Let's do it, baby.
And
US
the US
Open.
Tees off tomorrow. This show is becoming a lot more golf-centric, and our numbers went up when we talked golf. So even though I said it was the dumbest thing we did, we had good response to golf talk. So let's make sure we're including plenty of it. Let's talk a little bit about the course to start with, Shane. Of course, it's a legendary course, as all U.S. Opens are. It's Brookline. Up on the Atlantic, everybody talks about the courses that are on the Pacific Ocean, like Pebble Beach and stuff. But Brookline, you get a little Atlantic action going. The wind's whipping in off the ocean. It's a beautiful course, man. It's going to make for a great Open.
It is. Firm fairways, fast greens, and thick rough. I mean, what else could you ask for US Open? I mean, you drop into the rough anywhere out of the fairway. I mean, it's 4 to 6 inches deep, and you're lucky to even see your ball. So it's going to be challenging. Short game's going to come into play a lot here. Putting as usual, but short game really. If you miss off the fairway and you get into that rough, it's going to be pretty punishing.
Robbie, do you look at, and I'll watch the Open, and I'll give you time, you can go ahead and talk about the tournament a little bit, but is the controversy with the live, the 54, whatever, is it hanging over the U.S. Open right now?
That's a good question, and I don't know the answer to that because I don't know what people care about. Obviously, it's in Massachusetts, so it's going to be a liberal crowd of home crowd if they even go to it. But mainly, like most of these people give away their tickets, they have them anyways. I know I went to, as the three of us, we all lived in San Diego or Southern California for a long time, and Torrey Pines was often a U.S. Open destination. I never went. Most people I knew gave away their tickets. So I don't think it's going to be a big deal. I think there's going to be some media presence about it. But honestly, I don't think ESPN, CBS, people really want that the focus. They want the focus on the tournament. The tournament itself, it's my favorite golf tournament of the year every year. I love the U.S. Open. Like, there's something special about them making the golf course so hard on these guys. And these guys it's like seeing like Usain Bolt be like, hey, yeah, we're going to let you run in sand. Like, it's just fascinating to see as good as they are, watching them struggle some. So it's by far my favorite, and so I'm looking forward to it. I think so there's no NASCAR this weekend, so I'll have full attention on this on Sunday. So I'll put my bet your nuts onto that on who I think will win. But yeah, no, I think it's going to be a fantastic course. It's I don't know. I think it's still the heat wave hasn't got that far up, so it should be a great weekend for golf.
It's going to be windy. They say wind may play a factor, which whoa.
It will. It's on the ocean.
That'll be interesting.
There's always a wind.
Yeah, it's right there. Raj, you and I guess, are a little bit of different sports fans. I feel like you and I are more to just general sports overview, and golf may not be our specialty, but I still get into these tournaments.
Full admission, even though I will watch on Sunday if it's close. I'm not one that watches, and I don't have the skill set to observe and learn anything and critique.
Oh, absolutely.
But I think it's interesting. It seems like golf has a nice young base right now, and there's a lot of kids coming up. I saw that Cantlay kid was people thought he's going to do well. Davis Riley. I do like reading about golf better than I like watching. I don't know why that is, but yeah, I mean, it still needs a hero. There's no doubt about that. Then again, after Tiger Woods, it's kind of impossible to fill those shoes. But what I'm saying in terms of needing a hero is the casual sports fan like us. What is going to get us to watch golf? And this is the U.S. Open. I mean, is this the Super Bowl of golf, more or less? Or no, the Masters is, sorry. But, what does it take to get you watching on Sunday? It takes a lot for me.
My favorite tournament is the British, then the Masters, then U.S. Open. But I think because I'm not a golfer, I just like seeing different courses that I will never see in person. And when it is a different kind of golf at the British Open, and you see golfers you've never heard of or I've heard of. But there is an element of this that's a little bit different, Brendan. Anybody can get into U.S. Open through the qualifying, correct?
Yeah. I mean, if you go through the ranks and you qualify, you can get a pass in.
10 Cup.
It's a great tournament. It really is. It's one of the best majors we have here. It's a close second to the Masters. That is by far the Super Bowl in my eyes. But again, like you guys said, for the casual golf fan, it's, absent of Tiger, it's hard to kind of get into it and see this big, media frenzy or whatever, to clickbait. And that's what I think Live Golf is trying to do. And they're trying to create this clickbait, and that you're seeing a lot of these questions asked, in the media with the guys playing the U.S. Open, and they're tired. They're like, I'm just trying to focus on the U.S. Open right now. I don't care about the Live Golf, and that's all that. Every question came up to every golfer about Live Golf. What would you do? What would you do? Have you considered it? And it's become quite the clickbait, and I like the format, but it's not like real golf. It's questionable. I mean, it's like I think Stricker put it best. He said it's almost like having a member guest weekend. It's like it's a fun tournament, but it's not like real golf. So it's I'm indifferent right now. We'll see what happens with that, but
it's a storyline, though.
Well,
we're talking more about golf, and there's no such thing as bad publicity. I'm more curious to see what happens after the Live. So yeah, I mean, we are talking more about golf in general, not you guys per se, but it's kind of cool, man. I want to see
No,
how
and
this thing unfolds.
I'm a huge golf fan, and I'm the same way. I'm like I said, I'm indifferent about it right now. I'm anxious to see how it plays out with the whole Live Golf Tour. Unfortunate
It,
that you know the PGA put the sanctions on and all that, which I get the morality side of it. But here's the other thing, the question that I ask myself. It's like our United States government does business with Saudi Arabia or the Saudis all day long, and nobody bats an eye. But as soon as a different tour or something comes in, now it's like completely shunned by the PGA. So that's kind of my take on it. Like, why is it okay and nobody cares when U.S. is making money or doing deals, and then I don't know, just food for thought there.
Some good food for thought. Robbie Davis, I want to ask you something. And Raj already stole the thunder a little bit, but is the PGA doing a better job with marketing these young golfers? And I mean, I'm about to talk about one that I'm truly a big fan of. But are they more familiar faces for us to start pulling now that Tiger is gone?
Yeah, so I mean, the way I look at these kind of things, and to touch on, and I didn't hear everyone's complete answer. I apologize, I had to step out, but an analogy to me is like the Live tournament right now is like a 7-on-7 drill compared to college football. Like, it's different. It's exciting, but it's not real football.
Not golf.
And so I talked to, well, I mean, to go on to Brandon's point, yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of people that are hypocrites right now being like, and like, I do not condone anything the Saudi Arabia government does. However, you can't be ignorant to the fact that the United States does do business with them. And so it's almost like that, deal with the devil. But at the same time, I think to answer your question, I think the PGA is doing a better job. And I still think the Open and like these majors are still going to be your normal drivers. Like this weekend, they said it was just a successful tour on CBS. It drew 2.8 million people on Sunday with Rory and Justin Thomas and Tony Finau in the final pairing in a close tournament. I didn't watch. I don't know how many people that watched, but yeah, I mean, but it's still going to draw more than the Live Tour. Like there's going to be a life after Tiger and Phil that's going to come down some, but the NBA came down some after Jordan also. But then you just got to keep building and building your brands.
Good point. Very good point. Very good point. Now, I'm going to talk to Raj, and I want to come around. Last thing on the U.S. Open. You can give me up to 3 golfers, but I want one of the front runners and one of a sleeper from everyone going into the tournament. Raj, you said it earlier, Davis Riley, one of the young guns of golf. Someone that and I know he's an Alabama graduate, so don't everybody kill me. But I don't know, something about every now and then you turn on the channel and you go, hey, I like this guy. I turned on the channel. I liked the way he played and seemed like a real guy. And all of a sudden I'm like, I'm following Davis Riley everywhere on the course. And, I've always been a Tiger guy. I was a Jack guy before Tiger. It's fun to have a rooting interest, even if it's with somebody. I think Davis Riley got a chance to win this tournament, but he's got a real chance to top 10. Do you have anybody that you root for?
Not necessarily root for it. Now, to be clear, have a group of like 8 of us from college. Now all we can do is golf, and everybody else loves it. Now I enjoy it, and I like golfing, and I can look at a shot and like you seeing it at a different course like Brookline. I know I love this stuff when it's a really tough course where short game matters, where the greens are fast. being said, I'm not a huge fan, but I'm thinking Rory is the guy that I think satisfies all of those things that I just discussed. I don't have anybody in particular I pull for. No, I mean, sometimes I like the big hitters, like my man who left for Tyson, right?
Yes.
Who left for Liv. But there's no one in particular that I really, really like to watch. It's just I can sit and watch the highlights and be like, damn, that guy was good. But yeah, no one in particular.
Yeah. All right. We're kind of the same, but for some reason I've just latched on to Davis Riley. We'll go counterclockwise here because Shane and Robbie actually know a little bit of golf, and I'll give mine to start with. And nobody can steal. I'm going to give you Davis Riley, and I'm not sure he may not make my bet your nuts still, because I really think there's a top 10 out there. I think he has a chance to top 10 this very easily. I like, and this is all from reading like Awesome-O and DFS stuff. And I read several places that this course sets up great for Matt Fitzpatrick. So I'll give you Matt Fitzpatrick. But the number one person that I read, and the number one person in probably the 10 articles that I read, that they kept saying, this is your pick this weekend. This is your pick. This is your pick, was Justin Thomas. So that's going to be my three guys. I give you Justin Thomas, Matt Fitzpatrick, and Davis Riley. You got anything for us, Raj? And then we'll get to the two guys that actually know something.
Yeah, I mean, I can take the best odds too in Justin Thomas. I'll go with Rory, Cam Smith, and Koepka.
Okay. Robbie Davis, the money-making machine. I was so convinced last week that you were going to get the NASCAR race right. I actually had bets on 3 different drivers, and none of them won. So let's hope you do better in golf.
Yeah, so
Three drivers,
be the
Robbie.
first.
I gave you
Don't
3
count on
drivers.
it.
I will be the first to admit I have not got a handle on this next gen race car yet. I've got one right this year, Ryan Blaney. But then other than that, I've struck out. So my 3
90%
golfers
of your picks are Kyle Larson.
Yeah, when in doubt, blame it on the car. Good call.
Sorry, go ahead, Rob.
a favorite, a middle of the road, and a long shot. So this actually, as people that gamble on a little bit of everything, and especially NASCAR every week, these are kind of like NASCAR odds, but a little less predictable. So if the front of the pack has a 10-1 odds, you bet the 10-1. So I'll take Rory as the favorite. Middle of the road, I'm taking Tony Finau at 34-1.
Yeah.
So I like him. And then my long shot is chaos for the PGA or for golf is Phil Mickelson at 220-1.
Oh, wow.
I'm gonna put just a little bit of cheddar on him to see what happens, because if he wins this after playing in Saudi,
Would be good for golf.
It would. I would enjoy that greatly. Shane, I have my DraftKings team out. I'm going to make changes according to what you say. So go ahead.
All right, so I'm a big Justin Thomas fan. I'm not going to go there, even though I am rooting for him. My probably number one to win it would be Cameron Smith. My kind of middle pick would be Will Zalatoris. And my long shot, I'm going to go with Luke List.
What's his name again? I'm writing
go
it down.
Big Red.
Luke who?
Luke List.
List. Got
Luke
it.
List was a boarding student with me at Baylor.
And he
Oh,
he shows
God.
up big in majors, so I'm looking forward to seeing him.
He's way more successful than I am.
No, I'm a fan. Zalatoris always plays well in the majors. His problem has been putting. His iron game and off the tee, short game is phenomenal. And Cam Smith is just all around. He's one of the hot young players from Australia that is just on fire. And this dude, he can make it from anywhere. So, just going against the favorite, Justin Thomas, who, I'm going to definitely put money on him as well. But Cam Smith is a big favorite of mine.
What
You know
about
what?
Morikawa, real quick?
Yeah, Morikawa. We didn't
I
have
like him. He's just, I don't think he's in the right place in his game right now to win a major. He came out hot last year and won 2, I think. He's just kind of fallen off. Can't make putts. His iron game is usually best on tour and has not been there this year. So,
we didn't have a lot of show. When football season's going, sometimes we have to talk about it a little more. And this was a great show, guys. You brought a lot to the table. And we have finally fit Raj, cheer, into his role. Everyone, please meet Swami Mata.
You call me Swami. You can call me whatever the hell you want with the last name. I don't care. That's a sweet nickname. Although largely inaccurate.
All right, guys. We have
bet you nuts, right?
Bet Your Nuts. And I'm going to go first because I'm going to take the Dodgers and Tyler Anderson tonight. Run line to win. Give me the Dodgers over the Angels. Run line, win.
Hey,
Raj,
I'm going to be on the same game, so I'm taking the under on 8.5 on that. Neither team has been hitting the ball at all. So Dodgers, Angels, I'm taking the under 8.5.
There you go. It's rare we're on the same game. Robbie Davis without NASCAR. It's kind of like, Telly Savalas without a lollipop. Like
they're Googling.
I'm sad. I'm sad I'm missing the Nashville race next weekend. I'm going to be out of town. No, so my bet's real time. I need you guys to go on, bet money line Tampa wins tonight. It's 3-3 in the second period.
Wow.
Period.
They came back.
Minus 105. Money line. Bet on the Lightning.
My obligatory $10.
Like I don't know why you guys don't have your phone off betting on the Lightning right now. Like
I'm working on it right now.
$10 on the Lightning just then.
Hey. The Lance are kind of like Tennessee baseball, by the way. But sorry, go ahead.
So my bet your nuts is the Celtics minus 3.5.
Oh, nice.
It's gonna happen, and a little caveat: over 210.5.
Oh,
got my bet in.
Nice.
Wow.
There's no chance that they don't take it to Game 7. And I actually, a future bet your nuts, if you will, after we witness this, the Celtics are going to win this.
Wow.
Celtics are going to win it. I'm telling you.
I hope you're right.
So just out of curiosity, when is Game 7 to be determined? The schedule?
It's probably like 2 weeks after tomorrow.
It's Sunday. Sunday at
They're
8.
going on vacation.
Oh yeah, against the U.S. Open. Great, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. Well, it's after the U.S. Open. The U.S. Open will be over by 6, 5.
It doesn't get dark till 8 here.
Yeah, it'll be over about 5 or 6.
So
So
you
next
never
week-
watch golf.
That's good scheduling right there.
No, it's not.
I'm going to be on vacation next week.
The Sunday field of sports. That's the only thing we got to
The
watch.
NASCAR is good scheduling. They said we're not racing this Sunday. We're going to race the next Sunday. There's nothing else on.
Yeah, because the
Team-
U.S. Open and the NBA Finals Game 7. That's why they're not
Right.
racing.
No, I'm saying NASCAR's smart by saying we're going to move it.
How many other baseball teams are playing on Sunday?
All of them.
All of
Yeah.
them, but
And no one's going to watch any.
But it's exactly. Look what month it is. It's not
old
a
white
huge
guy,
deal,
man.
you know.
NASCAR's smart, man. The biggest demographic from NASCAR and golf are old white dude. An old white dude's going to be watching the U.S. Open on Father's Day. So, to their credit, man, they are not going to go head to head. That's
Right.
speculation. I have no idea what the reasoning
That's
is.
almost
But
reckless speculation.
No, I think that's accurate speculation.
Just
damn,
old white guy.
we
I like
should have
that.
ended it on that. Yeah, that is reckless speculation.
I'm going against you. I'm betting the Avalanche. By the way.
What's
All right,
wrong
guys.
with you? You hate
I'm
free
just
money?
I'm kidding. I bet Tampa Bay.
You're
I will be
lying
on
now.
vacation.
Yeah, so
In honor of him being the fantasy commissioner, next week, your host of Reckless Speculation will be Robbie Davis. And
Hey, and I will be coming live. I haven't confirmed a sponsorship yet. Probably not going to sponsor us, but maybe, hopefully. But we'll be coming live from Harrah's at Cherokee on Wednesday night, and so I'll either be down the dumps or just rolling in money for our show.
yeah, this could be interesting. I may be at Harrah's on Wednesday night too.
are you using a
And
back
Cherokee?
scratcher right now?
No, it's a camera holder or a selfie stick, but my back's itching, so I was getting back there.
Why is
Sure.
anybody going to Harrah's on a Wednesday? Is there something going on?
Hard for the week, and I'm going to get
I
bored.
just like
your
free money.
Social Security check-in.
Yes,
Go put it in the slot machine.
Taylor Smith playing.
I'm taking 2 teenage girls to Gatlinburg. By Wednesday, I think I'm going to wish a break. So
You're a good dad.
I'm just there for the free money.
Yeah, I'm just after about 3 days with teenage girls, I think I'll just want to get out of the hotel room and go somewhere. But
Doesn't everybody go to the casino on a Wednesday? It's hump day, guys.
That's right now.
You always go during the day when the locals are there. That's all you need is
Yeah.
some sucko tourist sitting at third base, jacking up your hand. It's the worst.
For the
We gotta
Bills
get out
Army,
there. Let's
Robbie, and for Robbie Davis and Brandon Shane and the fat Randall Cunningham with the back scratcher, good night. God bless. And we'll see you with some reckless speculation next week.
Go Lightning.